today I want to talk about conflict management, a particular task. So if you are new to our session, just let you know that we run this particular program where I share something first, and it is basically meant for helping you, educating you around PMP related topics. And I present something, and that initial presentation may last for 20-25 minutes, a particular important topic for your PMP certification, and then we can have any PMP specific questions and answer. So if you are not yet subscribed to our channel, you may want to subscribe it now so that you keep getting notification whenever we go live. Yeah. So we'll get into these things, roadmap, technical project manager, and all. We'll see. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. So we get started with the prepared agenda, and then I take care of those contents as well. So I hope you can see something on the screen, and this thing is talking about that the PMP exam content outline has three domains: people, process, and business. Many times you are worried about 49 processes of PMBOK 6. I keep reminding, don't worry about them, worry about these 35 tasks more. So we have already covered the 4 tasks which were associated to business domain, which gives you 8% of your PMP exam questions. Now we are starting with the people domain. The people domain have 14 tasks, and it gives around 42% for your exam. So roughly one task may give you around 4 to 6 questions. Yeah, that's like 7-8% per task on average. Again, there is no task level percentage distribution, but roughly it gives you around 6 questions each task. And today we are picking up the first task from a people domain, which is all about managing conflict. So we'll talk about how a project manager should interpret the source of conflict, how should you analyze it, and evaluate, recommend, reconcile, and resolve the conflicts in an appropriate manner. So what you see below is coming as a PMI ECO task. So what PMI expect you as a project manager, that you have a proficiency in these 3 things. Yeah? So when you do the conflict management, I can analyze what is the source of conflict. I can understand how escalated the conflict is. I can also see in which particular context the conflict is happening. Is it because the teams are new? Is it because the team has a compelling priority? So I understand the overall context. And looking at the context, looking at the source, looking at the stage, I can evaluate and recommend and suggest, or I probably facilitate how should we deal with the conflict. So as a project manager, you should be having skill in these 3 areas. Now, learning these 3 skills or these 3 areas, we do it with the help of some slides or in some Jamboard presentation, which help us in understanding the conflict management in a little better way. So that's what I am doing now. So let's move. So the first thing is, what is conflict? Yeah. And can we avoid conflict? So as a project manager, we need to keep in mind conflicts are unavoidable. In a way, conflicts are unavoidable in any way of life, but especially when we are working in a projects, we are dealing with uncertainties, even in a predictive life cycle. Because project is all about temporary nature, something we are doing uniquely, which is not a repetition of something we have been doing from last 10 years. There are new set of people who are working together, and if you want to bring creativity out, there is going to be a difference of opinion, there is going to be a disagreement, people may see differently the same issue, and they may want to suggest a different solution, and there will be a difference of opinion which is unavoidable. If that is not happening, we might be following a one person or a one thought without even evaluating it detail. So I as a project manager should be worried if there are not conflict, because there could be a case where nobody cares and everybody has figured it out their own box, and they just operate in that box, and they just keep themselves satisfied there, and there is no visible conflict coming out. So I as a project manager get a little worried in that case. So conflicts are unavoidable, and they are needed. They are needed for growth and creativity. But I need to manage conflict effectively. If I manage conflict effectively, it helps me in doing my project work better. So some of the ideas related to effective conflict management, we can say that it helps us in creating collaborative and high performing team, because people speak their mind, people understand each other, they come to know better about the preferences of different team members, they have a better trust, they can give feedback easily, they can receive feedback easily, they can hold each other accountable, which help me in creating a team which can perform well, which can take their own decisions rather than always relying on someone else taking decision on their behalf. So it helps me in creating a collaborative team. And it also creates creativity and innovation. If I have a one direction and I keep following that direction and I never challenge that direction, there is no conflict. But at the same time, then there is no creativity. If we have learned something is not working, we are doing continuous improvement process, someone has a better idea of doing things that may conflict with our existing approach of working, which is a good thing, because when we have these conflicting ideas, we can find a better way of doing things. So it increases creativity and innovation. The more demand for creativity in a given project or in a given environment, you may have a more conflicts there. So it helps me in making my team member more creative. It strengthens the relationship. If I have something in my mind and I'm not speaking, I will keep creating my boundaries. Sometimes you say these people never have a conflict. Looks like they don't relate to each other. Yeah, they just follow protocols. You do this, I do this for you. That's it. They will be never conflict. But when we have a conflict and we have a discussion about it, you may like something, you may dislike something, but that creates a better understanding of each other, that creates a better understanding of strengths and weaknesses of each other, and that help us in creating collaboration, because now we know how to work with each other. We don't have to work in the mask or facades. We can directly deal with the people. So that's why conflict help us in creating a better relationship. It also enhances accountability and engagement. When we discuss something openly, it engages people. When I am contributing into that discussion rather than I am just following the order, I will own up it more. So it is more about creativity, collaboration, and engagement. And I, as a project manager, should see all the conflicts as an opportunity to grow my relationships in the team, the accountability in the team, the engagement in the team, because they are giving me that something required an attention or maybe improving a creativity in the team. So as a manager, I should be making best use of conflict. Now, if I don't manage the conflicts in a right way, the ineffective conflict management may also have lots of problems. You may have a poor performance. People are not interested. They are just doing what they have been told. They may focus on blame and avoidance of culture. So I was not liking something, this was not resolved, and now I avoid responsibility. And if something goes wrong, I just blame people. So since there was a difference of opinion, I was not liking the particular way of working, but we have never resolved it. We never discussed about it. And that creates, so I don't care about this work anymore. So it creates a poor performance overall. It creates a demotivation, and all things are interrelated. People are not willing to take accountability, and may results into destructive behavior or not so engaged behavior. Like team is not created as a team. They are working in a pure silos. They are just keeping their area clean, and they probably don't care about how the overall project is moving, and they stop giving new ideas. The creativity goes down, the performance goes down, and people find difficult to take ownership. So poor conflict management has lots of problems. So as a project manager, I need to keep in mind for PMP exam as well, and I need to ensure that in my project the conflicts are managed effectively. Okay, so how should I do it? So as we learn about the task, I should also know what are the causes of the conflict. Many times, some of us may believe, there are some type of people who always get in a conflict. But at least for PMP exam, please don't think like this. We want to focus on facts rather than on personalities or individuals. And we focus on the conflict comes because of various reasons. Now here you see I put like a Tuckman ladder, which is a good representation of showing the team development stages. And they have a stage in a Tuckman ladder. We have a stage called storming, which is expected to have a lot of conflict. So we can say the storming stage is a stage when people come together and they are working first time with each other. They have a lot of communication issues and they have a different way of working, and it creates a lot of conflict. So storming stage conflict usually comes because of unclear roles and responsibility. Oh, this is something you should be doing. Oh, I want to work in that area, but that guy is working in that area. So we have a confusion like who should do what. Yeah. Or some areas many people want to work in, and there are some areas, maybe a boring task or something, nobody wants to work in that space, and people are trying to push that work into each other's job description, and that can create a conflict. There could be a lot of process gaps. We have a unclarity about what should we do, how should we put the work, how should we say allocate time to a work, how should we make a report of a particular issue. So there is a confusion related to who does what and how do we do the things, and that could also create a conflict. Yeah, lack of trust. Yeah, at the initial stage we hardly know each other. Yeah, people feel that the other person's probably trying to harm me or trying to show me that I know less. So we have a suspicion about everybody's intention, and that creates a play safe and conflict related environment. Many times during this stage, people may also get into competition. I may want to show that I'm better than other guy, and I want to do in this particular area. I want to take a higher responsibility, and that can create a conflict. So we need to understand as a project manager context of conflict. We can't just say a conflict is a conflict irrespective of the team stage. Conflicts are of different nature when the initial development is happening. They are more to do with mechanics. They are more to do with people's clarity. And once the team gets well developed, at a later stage, more and more conflict happens because of different value. Somebody like in a performing stage, say there is a quality guy who might be focusing on ensuring that we build the deliverable without any quality problem. There could be another sales stakeholder who might be more focused on getting to the market fast. And because of they evaluate the value differently, somebody value quality more and somebody value time to market more, there is a conflict. So those kind of conflict, creative conflicts, having difference of opinion related to a same problem, will start growing when we move towards the performing stage. So the nature of conversation, the type of conflict. Now, if you are in a performing stage and people are finding this is your responsibility, not mine, then I think as a project manager, I have done something wrong, or in a way, my team is actually not performing. If you say, oh, but we have those kind of conflicts only, so looks like your team has not yet crossed the storming stage itself. So I should do something so that we build team, I make them comfortable with each other so that we move forward. So these are like possible causes of the conflict when you are dealing in your PMP exam, as well as in the reality when you are dealing with the conflict. Now, there is a topic in your space which tells you need to understand, analyze the stage of the conflicts, and also. So, how do you know the stage? Sometimes you know the conflict is low, conflict is high, but is there any conversation? Is there any language which can help me in saying that okay, conflict is at this particular level? Now, in a PMP exam, you probably don't have to memorize this model. Don't say that, oh no, I need to learn about these levels of conflict. Level one is called this, level two is called something like this. That is not needed. But this is a nice model which help us in seeing how the focus and conversation starts changing when the conflict is raising. So conflict at a lower level, in this particular model, we call it level one. So it's a model we can use to evaluate at what stage or at what level the conflict is. It's a model we can use to educate our team so that they can also evaluate their own conflict levels and they can understand we need to go down. So make the solution of the conflict can happen when we start thinking it's a problem to solve. If we have escalated the conflict, we need to come down, then only we can resolve it. So brief about this particular model in the stages, we can say at an initial level, you have a problem to solve, which means there is an issue, you have a factor, there is a task. Two people have a different way of resolving that issue, and both of them are willing to talk. They are excited to resolve it in a better way. So you have a your direction, I have a my direction. Well, let's figure it out which direction suits the customer well. That's a problem to solve. We have a problem and we want to solve it. So our focus is on the issue and the task. That's a perfect stage. It creates the right environment for collaboration. But if the conflict get escalated, if it is not getting resolved at that level, then it leads to a disagreement stage where my opinion becomes important. It is not like we have to solve something together. I have my opinion, you have your opinion, and I need to convince you about my opinion. Yeah, so we have a disagreement. If it goes further, then my opinion becomes more strong, and I try to create group, and we have a one group talking about one opinion, one style of working, another group talking about another style of working. The core issue is not yet much discussed. This conversation becomes more and more generic. And if it get further, then people start focusing on fighting or flighting. Either they lose interest in the work, or they start fighting with each other. And if we go further, then it becomes something that it is no return back. Probably we need to remove someone from the team, then only it can come to a desired level. So my focus as a project manager, I don't let conflict to go high, because as conflict is going at a higher level, our focus is becoming more on personal and relationship, and we are losing focus from the task or the issue at hand. So I need to keep eye initially that if conflicts are happening at this level, it is okay. My team member can resolve it. But if it is becoming high, then I need to do some amount of intervention. So that's like a level of conflicts, and you can visualize it with the help of model. Now, final content around what do I do as a project manager in order to handle a conflict. So one thing is that we need to remember the conflict management is everybody's responsibility. It is not like anything goes wrong and project manager has to resolve it. Your major focus is you create a team which can resolve their own conflict. So as a project manager, my first task is I need to ensure that we have a shared understanding about our project objectives. So this is another task in your PMP exam content outline as well. We have a clarity about the vision. We understand what values we are focusing on, what is the desired quality we need from our product, what kind of a timeline we need from our product, what is valued more over others. We need to have a clarity about this. So as a project manager, I need to ensure that values are clearly understood by stakeholders and the team. And once that is done, again, there is no sequence, it can happen in parallel. I need to ensure that I create a team. I need to ensure the team has an open culture. They can talk to each other. They know about each other, because if they don't have a good equation, good networking, and good understanding of each other, they will have lots of conflict. So rather than I let them have a conflict and then I come and resolve it, I understand that I need to build trust. I need to ensure that they have a common, they have a ice breaking with each other. They know each other's personality. They know each other's strengths and weaknesses. Then only they can work better with each other. So I do team building. I ensure the teams do some amount of ice breaking. Even in a virtual environment, I focus on that there is a good introduction of each other and people spend time with each other so that they develop some understanding of each other. So that's what I, now somebody will say, oh, but it's a team building, it's not a conflict management. Yeah, but you are creating a foundation so that some amount of unnecessary conflict which might come in a storming stage will be less. And even if they come, your team can take care of it, because your success is the more and more conflicts can be taken care by the team, the better it is. Then you can focus on team charter, or in a predictive life cycle, you can call it resource management plan, RACI metrics, or some amount of clarity of roles and responsibility. In the adaptive way of working, team can have their own internal agreement or their ways of working. Team charter we use as an artifact or as a tool to ensure that team have a common understanding of, okay, what I can expect from you, what time we meet together, what is our ground rules, what is an expected behavior, what is not expected behavior, how do we make a decision if we don't have an agreement, how do we resolve that. So as a project manager, when I'm working with a new team, I give them a shared understanding, I give them some kind of teaming activities, and I need to ensure that team figures it out their own way of working. And even if I can include various ideas related to how to make decision and how to resolve conflict, that might be a better a thing for me as a project manager to resolve the conflict. Then I can focus on transparency. A lot of conflicts will come because of lack of communication, misunderstanding of the same issue, people are interpreting in a different way. So when I keep things common, the process is clear, the information is at a one place, I am creating an environment for collaboration. And that collaboration, definitely we cannot make conflict zero, but the collaboration make fact-based conversation. Even if the conflict comes, they remain at a level one. What is level one? Previous discussion. They remain at a issue to solve, problem to solve, because we have a facts and figures available. If you don't have a facts and figures available, if you are not working on the data, then it will be a perception based. I think this guy is not collaborating. I think this person is not producing anything for the project. You think, yeah, because both of you don't have a clear data. So I need to ensure that we resolve these kind of thinking things and we make things transparent. So we make it fact based conversation inside the team. Then I, as a project manager, should teach conflict management to my people. I need to educate them how to talk, how to speak and give and receive feedback, how to promote open conversation, how to do a conversation with each other. So if I can help people to speak in a way so that they can put their point, at the same time they don't offend the other person, and they are not shy of raising difficult questions, I am done with ensuring that most of the conflicts will remain at a level 1. So again, we don't make conflict zero, but we want to ensure that conflict remains at a healthy level, which is problem to solve level. So I teach people conflict management. I teach them how to speak, how to give feedback. Then we continuously focus on improvements, lesson learned, retrospective meeting, process improvements. We reflect on what is working and what is not working. When we have dysfunctions which are surviving for very long, they will produce conflict. But when we have something not working, and we resolve that thing at a faster pace, we identify that thing at a frequent level, we we ensure that conflicts are taken care in a positive manner. So again, all these things are our generic day-to-day project management activity, but they also take care of not letting the conflict get escalated beyond a level. So this is something not usually spoken about when we discuss conflict management, but when you deal with your questions, these kind of things may also come in a wrapper, where you can say, okay, I need to create an environment for collaboration and open conversation. I can't just keep running from one conflict to another conflict. Yeah, that's level 1 level things. But if the conflict goes up, it goes to level 2, level 3, where people are not willing to talk. Level 4, when people are not willing to talk to each other, they believe the other group is doing all the wrong things. They believe that they are the perfect, they have a perfect solution, but other guys are not collaborating. Then probably I need to manage conflict also. And our old PMP content, like from last 20-25 years, I have been seeing it, talks about 5 conflict management approaches. So most of you who have been through PMP content, I hope you have an awareness of it. Now, sometimes it creates a confusion. Are they 5 technique? I see it that these two, smooth and withdraw, are like a temporary technique. They give you some space, but ultimately you need to either collaborate or force or compromise. These 3 are kind of final stages or final step of resolving conflict. By default, we always promote collaborative way of working. So let's briefly touch upon these 5 areas. Smooth or accommodate, sometimes smoothing and accommodating, is more about making people talk about comfortable things. Let's focus on agreement before we focus on disagreement. Two people are not willing to talk because they are looking for some different areas, different direction. I need to make sure that first we find a common ground, less complicated issues, so they have a conversation, so that they can build trust by solving less complicated problem, easy to resolve problem, and then we can get into bigger problems. So it is like, maybe you have a problem with someone. Before you meet the guy and discuss about that problem, you discuss about other things, weathers and the day and how you reach to this particular place and something like that. And you have some open up, you had some conversation, you had a common area of interest. And then you say, okay, let's talk about something which we have been thinking of talking, and we resolve the next issue. So next issue, better we collaborate, where we get into detail. But before we like, if you directly want to talk about the problem, maybe people are not ready to talk about that problem. So sometimes by creating a less critical conversation, you create an environment so that people are open to take care of open conversation related to collaborate. So that temporary thing which is creating the environment is smoothing or smooth. Withdraw is that I don't want to talk about this, I want to take a time, I'm not responding to you. Very bad idea. Yeah, if you do it as a final technique, there is something happening and you don't want to resolve that conflict, you just want to avoid it. Yeah, you just don't respond to it. Someone is saying, I need a delivery this week, you are not responding to it, and anyway you are not giving a delivery this week also. That's a very bad thing. But in general, sometimes you may want to do it for a while. For a while means, oh, you need a delivery this week, I know it can't be done, but if I tell you now, you are not going to listen to me. Better I collect some facts and figures and then I come to you. So I'm saying, oh, I can't talk about this matter today. Can we talk tomorrow? I'm avoiding this particular conflict for next 24 hours because I want to prepare myself so that we can do collaborative conversation. So withdraw or avoid is bad if you do it for long duration, but it is good when you do for a preparation, but ultimately you do a collaboration. So as a project manager, you need to see when the things are becoming complicated, you may want to take a time, especially with a stakeholder, and then come to the collaborative and problem solving approach. Collaborating, it means it's not about your problem, it's not about my problem. Let's discuss the issue, let's see what customer wants and find out what works best for the customer. That's a collaborative way of working. Compromising. Compromising is final technique, but not a good idea in general. So say you have a solution A, I have a solution B. Is it good if we create 50% from your solution, 50% for my solution, and says this is how we implement it? Maybe our product will become very complicated if we have so many compromises in the product. So for a critical conflicts, we should never compromise. We should focus on, it's not about you, it's not about me. Let's figure it out what helps our customer. Let's figure it out what is the right thing to do rather than your thing and my thing. So I don't do a compromise. But if the stakes are very less, so say you want to meet me at 5 o'clock, I want to meet you at 4 o'clock, and says, yeah, can we meet at 4:30? Half an hour you, half an hour me. Says, okay. I don't want to get into what you are doing the whole day. You don't want to get into my things, and both of us can adjust, and it is good idea. So in general, compromises are okay to do if you want a quick decision and the stakes are not high. It is not like I am making 50% your design and 50% my design, but both of the parties loses some of their comfort. But for less critical conflicts, we can do compromises. Yeah? Not for the critical one, not for when the stakes are very high. Forcing is like my way or highway. You need to do it like this. You all understand this is not a good idea, because if I push something on someone, people will not like it. They will be not engaged in future. They will not trust me. Their engagement and accountability will go down. Yeah, if I am telling you to do something, I will do my best. If it doesn't work, I will tell you only told me to do it. So we don't want to do forcing in our project team. In general, very bad idea, because we focus on building long-term relationship. But there could be some cases where forcing might be okay. If you have a crisis, then you may say, guys, this is what we have to do. We don't have time to discuss about it. Yeah. Provided you find some expert doing that decision, because now we are relying on one person's mind. Sometimes when you are working with a vendor, you have a contract and the vendor is not willing to follow that contract. He has a signed contract. You may resort to forcing and say, you need to meet your contractual obligation, else we will say that you are defaulting from your contract. So if you have a situations in a PMP exam specifically, when you have a situation when you are dealing with a vendor and vendor is kind of deviating from the contracts and those kind of things, probably you can apply forcing. But in general, inside the project team, look for other alternatives, because forcing is most likely to be a wrong option. Yeah, until unless you see a real crisis happening and you know this is the best thing we can do and we don't have a time, then you can go for forcing. But in general, we focus on collaborative way of working in the conflict.